Hi, Children's Hour podcast listeners. Thanks for listening. It's me, Katie. I just wanted you to know that the Children's Hour has a little shop that supports our nonprofit work. You can get a Children's Hour Crew t-shirt in any size, from 2T all the way through adult. And we have stainless steel bottles that keep your drinks hot or cold. Plus, we've got playing cards, stickers, and so much more. Check it out at childrenshour.org/shop. And every dime you spend supports making your favorite kids' public radio show, The Children's Hour.
Why did the cowboy want a dachshund?
I don't know why.
Wanted to get along, little doggy.
That's a real e-slapper.
It's time for the Children's Hour, Kids Public Radio.
You better close them on up, 'cause they're starting to spread. These dogs got roaming in their heads. A whoopie-tie-I-O, move them up the road, riding for 30 and find. Cross the Red River and you know we're Montana bound. Cook is in the wagon, can't you hear him sing? Me, I'm dragging behind the Wrangler string. Throw a hula hand loop, set your pony's hooves, dally like a top cow hand. Here's a little critter that escaped the springtime brand. My, oh my, dried apple pie, sourdough biscuits, coffee in a can. We're all partaking, corn dodger and bacon, Cook is beef stew, potatoes, beans, and ham. Started out in Texas by the Rio Grande, heading up to Montana where the tall trees stand. Pull your blanket tight, see the northern lights shining like a dream of town. Sing a quiet song when you bed the cattle down. Oh, I miss my mama and I miss my pa. I miss our home back in Arkansas, where the boss is tough and the ground is rough. I'm sleeping beneath the stars, and Lord, I never thought I'd ever ride this far. My, oh my, I hate dried apple pie, sourdough biscuits, coffee in a can. Oh, I'm making from partaking, corn dodger and bacon, stringy beef stew, more beans than a man can stand. You better close them on up, 'cause they're starting to spread. Those dogies got a roaming in their head. A whoopie-tie-I-O, move them up the road, riding for 30 and found. Cross the Red River and you know we're Montana. Cross the Red River and you know we're Montana. Cross the Red River and you know we're Montana bound.
That's Carrie Gromboucher from a CD called Put Tamayo Presents Cowboy Playground. Right here on the Children's Hour, I'm Katie Stone. I'm so happy to be with everyone out in listener land and all these great kids on Zoom. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
And who's on the crew with us today?
Hi, it's Soleil.
Hi, it's Daniel.
Hi, it's Kodiak.
Hi, it's Lily Mae.
Hi, it's Lucas.
Hi, it's Flo. Hi, it's Airdrie.
Hello, friends. It's Melissa.
Hello, it's Lily.
Hi, it's Cade.
Well, I'm pretty excited. We're going to be talking rodeo. Anyone on the crew been to the rodeo?
Never.
I think maybe once, but I was in this little thing at the state fair that was like a kid rodeo where we all on like just like pretend horses, like, you know, where there's like a pole and you're like, yes, we have.
Neat. Is it fun to watch the rodeo?
Yeah.
What's it like?
We have some favorite activities that we really like to watch. What's yours, Flo? Mine is barrel racing and mutton busting. I like all of the events. It's just so fun to watch rodeo.
Well, now you make me want to go. We're going to learn so much more about the rodeo thanks to a piece that you produced, Airdrie.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for everyone to hear it, where you speak with a 14-year-old girl who does the rodeo up in Chama, New Mexico. And we're going to talk with Gabby Coughlin. By day, she's a soil scientist, and other times she's a rodeo enthusiast. She loves the rodeo, and she's going to tell us all about it. But before we get there, this is the String Beans right here on the Children's Hour.
I wanna go to a rodeo on a hot, sunny summer day. I'll be sitting on the edge of my seat with a smile that just won't go away. I wanna go to a rodeo in my boots and brand new cowboy hat. So much better than a video or hitting balls with a wooden bat. And there's nothing quite like it with the dirt and the dust and the smell. With the ropers and the riders and all them stories they tell. I wanna go to a rodeo. I love it when the gates are open wide and the bulls are bucking to and fro. Take those cowboys for one crazy ride. I wanna go to a rodeo and watch the horses run around the ring. Trick riders standing on their backs, barely holding on to anything. And there's nothing quite like it with the dirt and the dust and the smell. With the ropers and the riders and all them stories they tell. And hey, there's Tex coming out of the chute. He's holding on tight. Woo! There goes a boot. Just a few more seconds and he'll take first place. And then the crowd goes wild as the clock hits 8. You know, if a rider stays on a bull for 8 seconds, it's a good thing. It's a very good thing. I wanna go to a rodeo. There's just no place that I'd rather be. It takes me back to another time when a cowboy's life was wild and free. I wanna go to a rodeo on a hot, sunny summer day. I'd be sitting on the edge of my seat with a smile that just won't go away. Oh, how I love the rodeo.
That was the String Beans from their CD Gophers in Loafers. You're listening to the Children's Hour. I'm Katie Stone. Today we're talking about the rodeo. Our guest on the show today is Gabby Coughlin. Gabby was born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada. She grew up ranching and rodeoing in what's known as the rodeo state. Many people might think of Las Vegas for its hotels and casinos, but it is also home to several of the country's largest rodeos, including the National Finals Rodeo, where the world's greatest cowboys and cowgirls compete. Her father, a retired pro rodeo cowboy, introduced her to the sport of rodeo at a very young age, and Gabby began competing in rodeos across the state, and then she spent her summers on her family ranch in Missouri. And in these years, she caught a real glimpse into rural America and learned about the importance of agriculture and natural resources. And these interests led her to pursue a degree in crop and soil science. And she today is the agronomist and agroecologist at the Middle Rio Grande Conservancy District in Albuquerque, where she helps farmers manage their soils and water in order to grow healthy crops for animals and food for our community. And Gabby Coughlin, I just want to give you a very warm welcome to the Children's Hour.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
It's great to have you with us, Gabby. The kids have a lot of questions for you, so let's start with Lucas.
So what is a rodeo?
All right. Well, I think that's a great question to start off things. So a rodeo, there's many different flavors of rodeo. It originally started in Mexico. The vaqueros is a very common image. We think of a lot of Mexican men on horses with very beautifully ornate jackets and pants and the boots and the spurs. And so it was really generated out of these people's needs to move cows or animals across large stretches of land. And so there are certain elements to when you're moving animals, or say if there's an animal who's hurt and needs to be bandaged or have some medicine given to it, you've got to kind of restrain that animal. And so there's certain tactics and techniques to do that. So I think over time, these different aspects of managing horses or livestock have turned into their own rodeo events that people specialize and compete in now in various ways and platforms. But then we also saw a lot of other folks kind of participate in what we think of cowboying, a lot of Black ranchers, a lot of indigenous ranchers, Native Americans. Where I grew up in Nevada, we have a very strong Basque culture. So those are indigenous to Europe. And so they have a special way of herding sheep across large stretches of country. And so then there's Basque rodeos, and then there's ranch rodeos, and then there's, Black professional cowboy rodeos, women rodeos. Now there's all of these different segments of people who compete in these different rodeo events.
That's so interesting that rodeo comes out of a practical need to learn the skills for animal management.
In order to really get to know the sport and love it, you have to know the need to take care of animals. Growing up, while I lived in Las Vegas, just down the street from the airport, we were lucky enough to have a little 10-acre ranch in the middle of the city where we had horses and goats and lambs and chickens and even messenger pigeons. And so early on, my family taught me what it meant to help and be a veterinarian to these animals. So I had to learn how to wrangle the goats when they didn't want me to wrangle them, roping a horse who's trying to run away from you while you're trying to give it some dewormer or something. So I initially started just kind of helping my dad vet the animals.
Was there any ceremonies that represented rodeo?
With each different culture, I think there's always been a reverence for kind of animal husbandry, taking care of animals, whether they're horses or sheep or goats. A lot of cultures kind of recognize that connection, whether or not they compete in kind of a national scale or kind of small, close-knit communities. In the ranching community, like in Nevada or Wyoming and stuff like that, they have something called ranch rodeos, which are really just for those communities who are in the neighborhood. And it's really kind of tied to more of the branding side of ranching versus kind of think of the cowboys in the national finals rodeo. They're kind of like the all-star athletes, whereas there's the other folks who are more, this is their day job. They're just looking to have kind of a good time on the weekends, but they're riding the range day in and day out. Whereas some of the professional cowboys and cowgirls might have regular day jobs and just kind of then train and compete and kind of operate in the circuit.
I'm curious, is rodeo something that happens outside of Mexico and the United States?
Very much. There is now a global rodeo culture. Australia is a big one. A lot of those cowboys and cowgirls will actually come to Las Vegas to compete at the National Finals Rodeo, but then they have their own kind of professional circuits. They're in Australia, they have them up in Canada. They're starting to like become really big in Brazil. And it's more of like the bull riding. There's like a big Brazilian invasion of bull riders. And I think that's that tie and connection to that gaucho, that meat country, down there in Brazil and Argentina. They're very known for their steak and beef. And so you got to have cowboys that can help move all those cows. So it is kind of like a global event at this point.
That's Gabby Coughlin right here on the Children's Hour talking rodeo. We've got a lot more questions for Gabby coming up. And this next one's off a CD called Have a Butte Day by Don Spencer out of Australia, right here on the Children's Hour.
Rounding up cattle, riding along, singing my favorite cowboy song. I'm singing yippee, yippee, yay. Rounding up the cows and calves and steers, with the sound of my song ringing in their ears, singing yippee, yippee, yay. Singing yippee, singing yippee, singing yippee, yippee, yay. We'll stop for lunch by a billabong and sit around singing our favorite song, singing yippee, yippee, yay. The Billy tea is hot and strong. We'll take another sip and then we'll sing along, singing yippee, yippee, yay. Singing yippee, singing yippee, singing yippee, yippee, yay. I've got a horse, of course, and his name is Flash. There's not another horse who's as smart as that. I sleep on the ground underneath the stars, and I've always liked horses better than cars. Rounding up cattle, riding along, singing my favorite cowboy song. I'm singing yippee, yippee, yay. With Bob the Kelpie tagging along, that dog would do anything to get in his song, singing yippee, yippee, yay. Singing yippee, singing yippee, singing yippee, yippee, yay. Singing yippee, singing yippee, singing yippee, yippee, yay.
In the background, from a CD called The Wind Horse the band Anda Union. They're out of Mongolia. And before that, Don Spencer, Have a Butte Day is the name of his CD, the Cowboy Song. You're listening to the Children's Hour. We're going to be back with Gabby and so much more about the rodeo. Stick with us. The Children's Hour is produced by the Children's Hour Incorporated, a New Mexico nonprofit dedicated to producing high-quality kids public radio. Learn more at childrenshour.org. Support for the Children's Hour is provided by Electric Playhouse, an immersive entertainment experience in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The Playhouse is open. Learn more about play, dining, and family programming, as well as future locations and events at electricplayhouse.com. Getting your kids caught up on all their immunizations is one of the most powerful things you can do. This is a superhero moment. You can protect your kids against dangerous diseases and make sure they're ready to face the world by calling your pediatrician. Normal is coming. This message brought to you by the New Mexico Pediatric Society, a proud supporter of the Children's Hour.
In your white tee, or if you suited up. Chuck J's, high heels, or if you booted up. You picture perfect, hey, I promise you look cute enough. Kick back, go relax, yeah, you doing enough. This is for my families at the park, about to kill it up. Mr. DJ, this the one, go on, kill it up. We Texas two-step, true, it may be new to you, but if you let me school you, I can show you how to do it. What?
Can you walk it forward? Can you walk it back? Lean with it, rock with it, just like that. Do that Texas two-step. Hey, hey, do that Texas two-step. Hey, hey, can you walk it forward? Can you walk it back? Lean with it, rock with it, just like that. Do that Texas two-step. Hey, hey, do that Texas two-step. Hey, hey.
You can play this on the school bus, or when you Uber. Play it on your iPhone or your computer. Play it when you're feeling good, wanna feel super. Play it when you want it, shine, shine like the jeweler. Hey, Mr. DJ, play it, get 'em on the dance floor. Play it back to back, make 'em dance more. We Texas two-stepping, yeah, this be that dance though. And I know the answer, but I still gotta ask though.
Can you walk it forward? Can you walk it back? Lean with it, rock with it, just like that. Do that Texas two-step. Hey, hey, do that Texas two-step. Hey, hey, can you walk it forward? Can you walk it back? Lean with it, rock with it, just like that. Do that Texas two-step. Hey, hey, do that Texas two-step. Hey, hey, do that lasso, now do that lasso, now do that lasso, now do that lasso. Now ride it out, hey, now ride it out, hey, now ride it out, hey, now ride it out, hey. Now do that lasso, now do that lasso, now do that lasso, now do that lasso. Now ride it out, hey, now ride it out, hey, now ride it out, hey, now ride it out, hey. Can you walk it forward? Can you walk it back? Lean with it, rock with it, just like that. Do that Texas two-step. Hey, hey, do that Texas two-step. Hey, hey, can you walk it forward? Can you walk it back? Lean with it, rock with it, just like that. Do that Texas two-step. Hey, hey, do that Texas two-step. Hey, hey.
Saul Paul right here on the Children's Hour with his Texas two-step. Today we're learning about the rodeo with our friend Gabby Coughlin, and Illuminata has the next question.
What are the different types of rodeo events?
So there's definitely a whole list of them. There's something called the Gymkhana Rodeo, which is more of the things like obstacle courses and agility courses. You'll run through a course that has things that you got to jump over. You've got like a letter, and you've got to open and close a mailbox and stick a letter in there. So kind of going back to the days of the Pony Express, right? You know, these people were riding on ponies across the West and had to run and kind of drop mail and things. And you had to make sure you did that. But the main events that people see on the TV or when they go to their county fair, there's two kind of camps. There's timed events and then there's the rough stock events. So a lot of people know the rough stock events. So those are things like saddle bronc, where there's a saddle and then there's like this big kind of rope that is attached to a halter on the horse. And you know, the goal is, you know, you're supposed to kind of move and spur this horse to kind of buck while staying on for all of 8 seconds. And so that 8 seconds is really the kind of the time frame you've got to hang on for dear life, either with a saddle and the bronc rein, or there's bareback, which instead of a full saddle with stirrups and everything and then holding onto the bronc rein, it's just like a little kind of ring that you slip your hand into and hold on to dear life again, and you kind of got to spur and make that horse kind of buck so you can get that high score within that 8 seconds. And then there's the big one that everybody knows, the bull riding, right? Bull riding, same setup. You stick your hand in this like little kind of rope rigging thing and hang on for dear life. And that's really where we see a lot of that explosive action. And so those are the rough stock events. And then the timed events that we typically see, I'll start with things like team roping. So team roping, you've got two people, you've got a header and a heeler. And so the header has to go in and rope the horns, and then they have to dally it around their saddle horn, turn left, and then the heeler comes in and it's got to rope the heels, and then you got to stretch that animal tight. And when you do that, that's when they drop the flag, and then your time is set. And so whoever can do that in the shortest amount of time wins. And then the next kind of roping event tends to be calf roping. So that's just one guy, one horse, and then he's in the box and he runs out, ropes a calf, pulls it back, throws a slack, gets off of his horse, runs down the line, flanks that calf, ties his feet, throws his hands up, and then that's when the time is done. Again, the one who does that the quickest without breaking the barrier wins. And then the next male timed event is steer wrestling, which you've got two guys. They're both going to run out when that gate opens, and then he's going to jump off of his horse and try to wrestle a steer with his horns and kind of flip them onto the ground. So those are kind of like, think of like the football, like the linebackers of rodeo. They tend to do that steer wrestling thing. And then we get into the women's timed event. And the one that we see at like the NFR tends to be barrel racing. That's what, you know, what a lot of people are used to is women running around 3 barrels in arena in a clover pattern. And then you have to do that without hitting any of the barrels over. When you get into high school rodeo, junior rodeo, then there's pole bending, where you're kind of running through a series of poles. There's ribbon roping. There's no shortage of rodeo events.
What would you say is the hardest event in rodeo?
Ooh, this is a good one. All right. So you got to know that in rodeo, I kind of mentioned earlier, there's two camps. There's the timed events camp, and then there's the rough stock event folks. And I think there's a little bit of a like internal battle of like whose events are harder. You know, obviously look at those rough stock riders. They've got to ride bucking bulls and broncs and stay on for 8 seconds. But then you think of the timed event folks, and they've got to practice, you know, those rough stock events, they just throw them on a horse and, you know, you pray for the luck of the draw. Whereas when it comes to timed events, you have to take care of your horse every day. You have to practice with them every day. You have to have the calves, travel trailers, all of that stuff. So I think for me, I don't know, the hardest one I would have to say is roping, honestly, is because not only do you have to do this action while on top of a horse, but then you also have to be watching the calves. And some of them don't just run in a straight line. They know the trick and they know how to dodge to the left or dodge to the right. So for me, although I'm biased, I would say it's roping, although I will give credit to some of those women who fly around those barrels or poles to just to run 100 miles an hour and have all of your trust in your horse's kind of hands and agility at that point.
That's Gabby Coughlin explaining the rodeo to us. We have posted pictures of these different events, including the team roping, the calf roping, the steer wrestling, and the barrel racing. You can see those at childrenshour.org. Look for this episode at the rodeo. There's lots more coming up, but first, this is Ralph's World right here on the Children's Hour.
Rodeo peg, with her yellow sombrero and her calico dress. She was the toughest ham in the West. Peg was a pig in West South Dakota. She lived in a ramshackle farm on the plains. She dreamed she'd grow up to be a cowgirl, ride a bronking back bull to fortune and fame, to fortune and fame. One day she saw a black and red poster. Deadwood Dave's rodeo was coming around. She emptied her piggy bank of her allowance, hitched a ride on a stagecoach and went into town. Rodeo peg, with her yellow sombrero and her calico dress. She was the toughest ham in the West. The rodeo's bull was named Jalapeno. He was the buckingest Brahma in all of the West. One by one the cowboys tried to ride him. They flew up his back and into the dust. Suddenly Deadwood Dave saw Peg and got hungry. All he could think of was bacon and ham. He said, I'll bet you can't ride Jalapeno. Peg said, I'll bet you my life that I can. Rodeo Peg, the rodeo pig, and Jalapeno kicked so hard, kicked so high, he knocked down a clown. But Peg held on to the reins until the ride was done, and the cowboys all cheered. Deadwood Dave said, you must have been cheating. No pig can ride a bronking back bull. Then Jalapeno kicked him right in the keister. He flew so high he came down on the moon. And Rodeo Peg was the queen of the riders. None of the cowboys ate bacon again. Rodeo Peg, the rodeo pig, with her yellow sombrero and her calico dress, and her pink spurs that jingle. Rodeo Peg, she was the toughest ham, the toughest ham, the toughest ham in the West.
That's Ralph's World from a CD called The Rhyming Circus and Rodeo Peg. We're speaking with a real rodeo person named Gabby Coughlin, and just a little more time and a few more questions from the kids on the crew. Gabby, let's go to Lily Mae.
How long have you been rodeoing for?
Let's see. So I started like actually competing in rodeo when I was 10. I probably started riding when I was like maybe 5 or so. So I gave myself about 5 years to really kind of get comfortable with the idea of competing in rodeo before I did it. It's almost like riding a bicycle. I still am in my backyard practicing roping on the dummy. It's something very therapeutic for me, but definitely love still going to my local rodeos and seeing who's winning it.
You said you started rodeo at 10 years old. Are kids doing these events where they're wrestling a steer to the ground? It seems almost impossible for a 10-year-old to do that. So tell us more about what happens with kids in rodeo.
Yeah, so they definitely pare down the sports for the younger audiences. Instead of wrestling a steer or riding a bull or a bronc, there's something called mutton busting. So instead of, riding those bigger animals, you'll be riding a sheep, so you'll be attached to the little sheep and you'll be bucking around the arena and stay on for 8 seconds. And then, you're also getting judged on how well you stay on. So it's all about style points for, that kind of mutton busting event. When it comes to things like calf roping, they really don't let, the boys and girls start calf roping until they get to about high school. So one of the events that they do instead is something called breakaway roping. And so breakaway roping is like the first half of calf roping, where you're just out there and you rope the calf around its neck, and then the end of your rope is attached to your saddle horn with think of like a piece of kite string, just like a simple piece of string or ribbon. And once the end of the rope pops off of your saddle horn, that's when your time stops. So, the calf runs off and pulls the rope off of your saddle horn, and that's how you kind of get judged on that. There are some other variations of team roping that's called ribbon roping. One person will kind of come out and rope while there's a second person on foot that actually has to run to the calf or steer and grab a ribbon off of its tail, and then they have to run back to the rope and shoot and cross the finish line, and then that's when they drop the time. So there's a couple of different variations to kind of keep things easier for kind of the younger folks and safer, although you're still having to deal with crazy calves and things like this. And so another event that I did quite a bit was called goat tying. So it's like the second half of calf roping, where instead of having to rope the goat and, kind of pull it down and get off your horse and run down the line, you're starting at the top of the arena and you have to run down to a goat that is staked at the end of the arena, and you have to jump off your horse and then you run down that line, and then you flank and tie the goat, and then once you throw your hands up, then they drop the flag and your time is done. So women don't really have the opportunity to do calf roping in a lot of these rodeo settings, so they've broken them up into breakaway roping and then goat tying, and then boys do that as well at kind of the junior rodeo level too.
There's something I've heard of called rodeo clowns. What is that?
So the rodeo clowns are kind of like the jesters of court. They're like the jesters of the event. And so they really show up during the rough stock events. And so what their goal is, and predominantly they show up in the bull riding, you see them, and their job is to almost kind of protect the cowboy, right? Say if the cowboy gets bucked off of the bull, then they go in and try to play interference between the cowboy and the bull, and they'll try to get the bull to hit the clown instead of the cowboy, while the cowboy can kind of scramble and get up out of the way. So they kind of act as almost like a bodyguard for some of these bull riders. And then they also kind of add in some theatrics and some antics where they'll jump in their little barrel that might be on suspenders, and then they hide up and down from the bull, or they'll throw different scarves and ribbons and flags, and then they've got their different face paint on. And so they live up to their name as true clowns, and they're out there just to kind of entertain and also keep the cowboys safe.
Gabby Coughlin, thank you so much for being our guest on the Children's Hour today. We've learned so much about the rodeo.
It was my pleasure. I rarely get to talk about rodeo. It's almost like my secret second life. Everybody wants to talk to me about dirt and plants, but when I get to talk to rodeo, it's a great day.
Gabby Coughlin is a soil scientist by day. Thanks again, Gabby. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Gabby. Thanks for coming.
We're talking rodeo on the Children's Hour. Airdrie's interview with a 14-year-old Chama, New Mexico rodeoer is coming up.
I'm back in the saddle again, out where a friend is a friend, where the longhorn cattle feed on the lowly Jimson weed. back in the saddle again, riding the range once more, toting my old 44, where they sleep out every night and the only law is right, back in the saddle again. Whoopie-tie-I-oh, I'm rocking to and fro, back in the saddle again. Whoopie-tie-I-hey, I go my way, back in the saddle again.
We'll be right back.
The Children's Hour radio show is an independent production of the Children's Hour Incorporated, a New Mexico nonprofit. The Children's Hour is supported in part by an award from New Mexico Arts, a division of the New Mexico Department of Cultural Affairs, and the National Endowment for the Arts. Support for the Children's Hour is provided by the County of Bernalillo, New Mexico, bernco.gov. Support for the Children's Hour is also provided by the City of Albuquerque's Cultural Services Department and the Urban Enhancement Trust Fund. Support for the Children's Hour is provided by Token Ibis, a nonprofit making philanthropy accessible to everyone. To sign up, go to tokenibis.org.
Oh, give me land, lots of land under starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please, don't fence me in. Just turn me loose, let me straddle my old saddle underneath the western skies. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences, gaze at the moon until I lose my senses. I can't look at hobbles and I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in. Myself in the evening breeze, listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please, don't fence me in. Just set me free, ain't it grander to meander like a tumbling tumbleweed? My horse and me will go roaming through Wyoming like a deputy on his rusty steed. I want to count all the stars as they shine so stellar, ride through the rain without a fancy umbrella. I'd rather sleep on rocks than be a Rockefeller. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in.
That's the Okie Dokie Brothers right here on the Children's Hour. This next piece was produced by Airdrie from our kids crew with some help from her mom, Anita.
I'm Keelan Faulkner. I'm 14 years old. I live in Chama, New Mexico.
What is your favorite part of rodeo?
I really enjoy getting to travel and be with my animals as often as I do. It's a very fun experience, and I think that I'm learning a lot doing it. I learned how to work with animals and respect all of my elders and get some really cool friends.
What's your favorite event?
Probably breakaway roping.
Why?
Because it's kind of a newer event in rodeo, and I've worked really hard at it and think that it's just a really cool event in general.
Do you travel to do rodeo?
We do. We go really far away a lot.
That's Keelan Faulkner, a friend of our kids crew member Airdrie. Many thanks to Airdrie and her mom Anita for helping produce this piece for the Children's Hour. In the background, Crowander.
Wish I was a cowboy out on a cowboy range. I put my cowboy hat on and I play some cowboy games. I get all my cowboy friends wearing their cowboy clothes. Sit around a campfire warming our cowboy toes. Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay, yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay. Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay, yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay. I wish I was a Mustang, a wild horse out running free. I wave my Mustang mane, in the field it's a Mustang seed. I get my Mustang friends to come, jump up, run and play with me. It's just a Mustang feeling, but that's the way it ought to be. Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay, 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 yeah, yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay. I wanna be a coyote high up in the hills, howling at the moon by night. In the daytime I keep still. Find my coyote friends at the Coyote Grill, singing these coyote songs, never need to pay the bill. Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay, 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 yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay. Guess I'd rather be a cowgirl, wear my cowgirl clothes, sharing cowgirl secrets, twirl on my cowgirl toes.
hold my cowgirl daddy's hand, go into the grocery store, till I find me a Mustang and I head out that front door. Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay, 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 yeah. Yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay, 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 yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay.
Out on the plains down near Santa Fe, I met a cowboy riding the range one day, and as he jogged along, I heard him singing the most peculiar cowboy song. It was a ditty he learned in the city. Come-a-tie-yi-yi, come-a-tie-yippity-yi-yi, now get along. Get hip, little doggies, get along. Better be on your way. Get along. Get hip, little doggies. He trucked them on down that old fairway, singing his cow-cow boogie in the strangest way. Come-a-tie-yi-yi, come-a-tie-yippity-yi-yi, now singing his cowboy songs. He's just too much. He's got a knocked out western accent with a Dixie touch. He was a rest on local way. He's what you call a swinging half-breed, singing his cow-cow boogie in the strangest way. Come-a-tie-yi-yi, come-a-tie-yippity-yi-yi, play boy. Songs. He's just too much. He's got a knocked out western accent with a Dixie touch. He was a rest on local way. He's what you call a swinging half-breed, singing his cow-cow boogie in the strangest way. Come-a-tie-yi-yi, come-a-tie-yippity-yi-yi, come-a-tie-yi-yi, come-a-tie-yippity-yi-yi, come-a-tie-yi-yi, come-a-tie-yippity-yi-yi, come-a-tie-yi-yi, come-a-tie-yippity-yi-yi, come-a-tie-yi-yi, come-a-tie-yippity-yi-yi.
Well, life on the farm was a little too slow. I was born with enough street smarts to know gotta walk fast to get where you wanna go. Thank God I'm a city boy. Well, I look both ways, watch for pickpockets. When I dance, I pop and lock it. When I get hard knocks, I just hard knock it. Thank God I'm a city boy. Well, I got good friends, we got the subway, ride around the whole wide world. And one day, Brooklyn to the Bronx is gonna be a fun day. Thank God I'm a city boy. Well, I didn't fall off no turnip truck. I make my own way and I make my own luck. Like a real New Yorker, I don't give a fit up. Thank God I'm a city boy. My horse was tired of the same old drill. A humdrum life by the whiskey still followed me on his own free will. Thank God I'm a city boy. Well, I got good friends, we got the subway, ride around the whole wide world. And one day Brooklyn to the Bronx, it's gonna be a fun day. Thank God I'm a city boy. Kind of life never did me no harm. Lies with charm and a fire that's warm. But being bored to death was a cause for alarm. Thank God I'm a city boy. Yeah, you can change it up in a New York minute if you know when to quit and when to begin it. I hop the train to the city now minute. Thank God I'm a city boy. Well, I got good friends, we got the subway, ride around the whole wide world. And one day, Brooklyn to the Bronx is gonna be a fun day. Thank God I'm a city boy. Was a little too slow, born with enough street smarts to know. Gotta walk fast to get where you wanna go. Thank God I'm a city boy. Well, I got good friends, we got the subway, ride around the whole wide world. And one day, Brooklyn to the Bronx is gonna be a fun day. Thank God I'm a city boy. Yes, I am.
That's Hop Along Andrew from a CD called Howdy Do, Songs of the Urban Cowpoke. And before that, the Judds with their version of Cow Cow Boogie. And way back when, Ben Rudnick from his Live in Lexington CD. You're listening to the Children's Hour, and you can learn a lot more about rodeo by going to the links we've posted to our site under this episode page. Go to childrenshour.org and look for @ the rodeo. You can also see a photo of Gabby as a kid doing barrel racing, along with a lot of other photos. Thanks for listening to the Children's Hour. We're going to go out with one more. This is Cowboy Envy.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds when we're together? Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you till we meet again. About the clouds when we're together. Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you till we meet again. So long.
Children's Hour is an independent production of the Children's Hour Incorporated, a New Mexico nonprofit corporation.
Our show was written by Katie Stone, with help from all of us in the kids crew.
Find lots of information about us at childrenshour.org.
Many thanks to our guest, Gabby Coughlin, for being on the show with us today. Thanks also to Airdrie from our crew and her mom, Anita.
Our podcast can be found wherever you get your podcast or at patreon.com/The Children's Hour.
Or ask your smart speaker to play the Children's Hour podcast.
We post our photos and more on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Find us at TCH Radio.
Our theme music is written by C.K. Barlow.
The Children's Hour is distributed by the Children's Hour Incorporated, PRX, and the Pacifica Radio Network.
Thanks for listening to the Children's Hour, Kids Public Radio.